وعجل فرجهم. رحم الله من قرأ الفاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين شفيع المذنبين رحمة للعالمين مولانا وسيدنا أبي القاسم محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرض مولانا حجة ابن الحسن عجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد فقد قال الإمام محمد الباقر عليه الصلاة والسلام اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. رحم الله عبدا حبس نفسه علينا. Respected elders, brothers and sisters, I'm not going to do any recaps in this series because we have so much material and we don't have enough time really to get through it. So if you want to know what was discussed yesterday, then YouTube Zindabad. You can refer, but I won't be doing any recaps. After yesterday's lecture, we had lots of discussions with the gents. And there were lots of different points being given and lots of questions. Now, I feel most of the questions which I received, I feel confident that they will be answered during these lectures anyway, so I'm not going to delve into those. But there was one question in particular which I do want to answer directly because I think it's very important that we clarify this point right now. So the question was this. Do I always need to have istirar when speaking with Imam Zaman? Can I not speak with him in a gentle way? Does it always have to be when I need something? Okay, that's the question. Very, very good question. But I need to clarify it right now because I think this question is based on a misunderstanding of what we said yesterday. We are not saying that we approach Imam Zaman with istirar and that's how we speak to him. What we are saying is that during the ghaibat of the Imam, when he's not in our presence and we are without his bounty, we are without the ni'mat of wilayat of Imam Zaman in a direct sense, then we have istirar which should lead us to securing the zuhur of Imam and then the faraj of Imam. So there's a misunderstanding here in the questioner. We're not talking about having istirar when we speak to Imam as if, I always want something from the Imam. No. This will be clarified more tomorrow when we go through the different types of istirar. Basically, what we are saying is, I'm so upset and I'm distressed and I feel a sense of emergency in me that I want my Imam. Now, what will open the door for the zuhur of the Imam? What will cause the zuhur to happen which hasn't happened for nearly 1,200 years? Our premise is that the feeling of istirar, when mu'mineen have istirar and a desperation for the zuhur of waliya zaman, then it's a game changer. That will make things very much change for us. And we are referencing this verse. أَمَّنْ يُجِيبُ الْمُزْتَرَّ إِذَا دَعَاهُ وَيَكْشِفُ السُّوءِ. Who is it? We are addressing Allah. Who is it that will answer the muztar, the one with istirar? Who does he answer? The one who with istirar. Who does he answer? The one with istirar. What happens when he answers the one with istirar? Yakshifus su. He removes the calamity, removes the bala, removes the evil. So what is the key ingredient here that will be the game changer? Having istirar. This is where we are trying to get to. So that will open the whole matter. It will untie the knots. It will unblock the blockages. It will get rid of the obstacles. And it will allow our du'as to be answered and for the calamity and the bala to be removed. And believe me, Azizan, by the end of these 10, 12 lectures, you will agree with me. There is no bigger bala than being without our Imam. There is no bigger bala. There is no bigger calamity. And this is where we need to find the faraj of Imam Zaman. Ajjalallahu ta'ala farajahu sharif. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. At the end of this very same verse, which we generally do not recite the whole verse, but it's the same verse, but I want to give you the last part of the verse, the same amma yujibul mustar. It says, وَيَجْعَلُكُمْ خُلَفَاءَ الْأَرْضِ, that Allah will answer the dua of the mustar, remove the evil, and He will make you the inheritors of the earth, or the successors of the earth. What does that refer to? In a hadith of Ahlul-bayt, it says that this verse actually refers to, one of the reference is the end of time for the zuhur of Imam Zaman. That in fact, yes, this verse actually points to that reality. So now we go and we shift the debate a little bit further on. If we are saying that the mustar is answered by Allah and that's the game changer, the question is why? Why are the du'as of the mustar accepted? Why does the faraj and the rescue happen when the mustarreen do their du'as? Why is istira this important? Simply, it is because the du'as of a mustar are truly du'as. Usually, we see mu'minin and mu'minat, God bless them, but our heart is not in our du'as. Tame manekyo, you tell me, hand on heart, when we recite Dua Kumail on a Thursday, how much of it is mechanical and how much of it is actually heartfelt? When we recited Dua Simat just now, I challenge all of you and myself as well included, what did we understand? How much of it is mechanical and how much of it is really heartfelt? Dua is dua when it is done with istirar. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that when they call me, I answer them, what is He saying? When they call me, not when they sit on their phones thinking about, what tomorrow they're going to do and what happened yesterday and what they're going to eat tonight and what they're going to do tomorrow morning. And but someone is reciting Dua Simat and Dua Kumail. No. This is not dua. We need duas in our community. We need Dua Simat, we need Dua Tawassul, we need Dua Kumail. But the way we have to engage with the duas should change. That's not true dua that we're doing. We're doing more tilawat, reading, rather than supplicating. So the duas of a mustar is a true dua, and hence it gets answered. Now, let's go back to the point of istirar. Is it only in the matter of Imam Zaman that we have istirar? Is that the only thing we are saying? No. Istirar in general towards one's duties towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, wajibat, religious things, obligations, istirar is very important and is very effective. Okay? It will grant us rescue not only in the matter of Imam Zaman but also in the matter of other worships. Let me explain. Allah has given us a series of obligations, yes? Wajibat. Each of these wajibat fulfills a certain role in cleaning and forming the human being. Okay? Can I say to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Khudaya, you know what, tomorrow I won't pray, but I'll tell you what, I'll fast instead. Khuda, tu mane maaf kar, hu namaz nahi padhu, any badli ma, hu rojo rakis. Does it work? Or I say, for example, Khudaya, listen, this year my khums is 5 grand. Hajj costs 15 grand. I'm just assuming, yeah? My khums is 5 grand, but Hajj costs 15 grand. So what I'll do, I'll go Hajj. It's more than khums. So forgive me from khums, I'll do Hajj instead. Or I say, for example, that you know what, Amr bil Maruf and Nahi Munkar is very difficult. Instead of that, I'll give charity. Does it work? Doesn't work. Every single wajibat has its place. Every single wajibat fulfills a role. Roza, fasting, does not fulfill the role, no matter how much you do, that namaz fulfills. Namaz achieves something in the human being with no matter how much khums you want to give and charity you want to give, namaz fulfills a role which the world's charity will not be able to fulfill. Each and everything has its place, and each and everything fulfills a role. When you miss one of those things, God forbid you miss your namaz, God forbid you don't pay your khums, God forbid you take other wajibat lightly, what are you doing? You are basically allowing yourself to remain unformed in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because part of you is missing. There was an ingredient that was needed in your soul. That ingredient was called namaz. But you missed so many namazes that that's now a gap. You can't mess with these things and just say, okay, that will fulfill that. And it doesn't work like that. Everything has its role. Just like the human body, the eyes perform a role that the ears cannot. The hands perform a role that, for example, the elbow does not. In Islam, we need istirar for all of these things. If you miss your namaz, you need to have so much istirar and panic and distress that my namaz went. This means that something is deep down missing in me. You don't pay your dues. You should feel that this is the haqq of Imam Zaman which has remained with me. I needed to discharge it to Imam Zaman and I didn't. If you are lax in any of these wajibat, then this is a real problem, because what is happening is you will never be able to fill that gap with anything else. So when a truly wise person understands the concept of istirar, they will have istirar in all of these things, in all of the religious matters. And it should cause us to panic. Ibn Mas'ud, great companion of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam. What happened was, in one of the namazes of the Prophet, in one of the namazes of the Holy Prophet, Ibn Mas'ud arrived late. Namaz sharu thai gayi thi. Namaz had started. Ibn Mas'ud missed Takbiratul Ihram. So he would have joined in the first rakat before ruku. Okay? After the namaz, Ibn Mas'ud speaks to Rasulullah. He says to the Holy Prophet, I missed your takbir. If I free a slave, will it make up for that missed takbir? If I free a slave, will it make up for that missed takbir? Now you want to know the answer to this question? Then you have to come forward with a salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Yalla, yalla. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum. So Ibn Mas'ud asked Prophet a question that, Ya Rasulullah, I missed a takbiratul ihram. Okay? I missed a takbiratul ihram. If I free a slave, will it make up for that? Rasulullah says, no. Ibn Mas'ud then says, okay, what if I free 2 slaves? Will it make up for the missed takbiratul ihram? Rasulullah says, no. Rasulullah then says, even if you give in charity all the wealth of the world, it will not make up for the missed blessings of that one takbiratul ihram. This is how sensitive this matter is. Now we think, for example, well, see, we look at things with our limited outlook, right? We think, well, what is a takbir, right? It's just a 1 second, 2 words. Charity is much more. Freeing a slave is much more. Rasulullah says, no, it doesn't take the place. Everything has its place. Everything is in its place. We should have istirar. You're not waking up at night. You are not having tawfiq for namaz-e-shab. It should bug you. You're missing your namaz. It should bug you. You are very quick to do ghibat. It should bug you. All of these things are chipping away at our hearts and souls. And then, we say things like, namaz ma maja nati aati. What maja will you get when your soul has been disformed? All of these things should have istirar for us. They say that the son of Imam Khomeini, they say he narrates that there were times when he would wake up in the morning and he would see Hazrat Imam crying, few times, crying. And he would ask his mother, why is Baba crying? And the mother would say, last night he didn't fulfill his namaz-e-shab properly, therefore he's grieving today. This should bug us. Everything has its place. One thing I'll say, those of us, and I'm sure you are all in this category, who want to take seriously our spirituality and getting close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, namaz-e-shab. Namaz-e-shab. Devote some time, if you are not praying already, devote some time to make it a habit of namaz-e-shab. I'm going to give you the most easiest solution for namaz-e-shab. What tends to happen in namaz-e-shab is this. Kitli rakat che namaz-e-shab ma? 11 ne? 11 rakats. Immediately when someone hears 11 rakats, they get turned off. They're like, I'm not going to do that, man. Mushkil thi, I pray my 2 rakat fajr. You want to pile on another 11 rakats? Okay. So I'm going to give you solution. If you can't do 11 is not appealing, 11 seems too much, 11 is daunting, do 9. 9 is too much, do 7. 7 is too much, 5. 5 too much, 3. 3 too much, 1. Now if you tell me 1 is too difficult, then I'll find it difficult to accept that. 1 rakat. 1 rakat. Namaz-e-witr. Just do your namaz-e-witr. If you can't do any of the others, do namaz-e-witr 1 rakat. Okay. Now we have namaz-e-witr. Lots and lots of du'as, lots and lots of istighfar, 70 this and 300 that and whatnot. Don't do any of it. Just say, oh Allah, please forgive Sheikh Abbas Ismail, and you're done. You don't want to take 40 mu'mineen's names, just take my name and you're done. You can cut every corner in namaz-e-shab. You don't want to do all the surahs, 3 kuls, 1 nas, 3 kuls, 1 falak, 1 nas. You don't want to do all those, do 1 kul. But don't miss namaz-e-shab. Even if you want to do 1 rakat in a very short form, just do that. Then you'll see, after some time, after a week or 2, you'll see, actually, this 1 rakat is very easy. I want to do the 3 rakat method. And then you'll build on from that. Now, the point was that everything has its place. So someone asked Allama Tabatabai. He said, look, I want to pray namaz-e-shab, but at the same time, I have qazas on me. I've missed a few fajrs in my life. So I have qazas. Now what do? Do I pray shab, which is so much fazilat, or do I pray my qazas, which are wajib? So he says, can I pray the 11 rakats? 10 of them I can do with the niyat of qaza of fajr. And 1 rakat I'll do with witr niyat. Now what does Allama say to him? Allama says to him, yes, you can. You can do that. You can do that. But I advise you, Allama is saying, I advise you, do 4 namazes with the niyat of qaza of fajr. 4. But do the 2 shaf, or sometimes we call it shifa, but it's actually shaf namaz. Do that with the niyat of mustahab qurbatan ilallah. He said, why? Why that one in particular? Allama said to him, because that one, namaz-e-shaf, or shifa, what we say sometimes, is very effective in protecting a person from sins. Everything has its place. Everything has its reason. What one thing will fulfill, another thing will not. So when a true mu'min with iztirar, he misses any kind of obligation, that is not a normal thing for them. They become very concerned. It bothers them because they have iztirar. They understand that these things are forming me and they're making me, they're building me. When I miss one, it's a big thing and they go into misery because of it. A positive misery. A positive misery. And they get more kind of like concerned about themselves and they rejuvenate themselves. So iztirar is very, very important. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Everything has its place. There's a very nice story about Ayatollah Abdullah Gulpaygani, not the famous marhum Gulpaygani, which we did taqleed of his for a time as a community. This is another Ayatollah Gulpaygani. He was a very special person. And what happened was, when he died, he came in the dream of some of his colleagues. And one of them narrates the following. They said, when Agha came in our dream, this Ayatollah Gulpaygani came in our dream, I asked him, tell me, what was it like when you crossed over from this world into the next world? So he said, you know what? The angels first of all approached me and they said, you have come here from dunya. What have you brought? Angels will always ask, what have you brought? But the people in the world will always ask, what has he left behind? So the angels asked, what have you brought? I said, I have research, I have studied, I have learned things, I have taught things. They said, no, we can see shortcomings in this. What else have you brought? He said, you know, I have namaz, I have roza, I have different acts of worship. They said, no, even that has some shortcomings. What else have you brought? He says, you know, I've done tawassul and ziyarat and cried. They said, no, even that we find shortcomings. What else have you brought? He said, then I don't have anything. And they said to him, no, actually, there is something on your record. He said, what is that? I can't think of anything. They said, do you remember? You were in Najaf. And a group of people had come from your hometown in Gulpaygan, Iran. And they had come for the ziyarat of Amirul Mu'mineen. And they found your house. And they knocked on your door. And they asked you to help them and to host them. And you welcomed them in. And you wanted to serve them a meal. But you had no money. And then do you remember what you did next? You asked them, sit here, wait for me, I'm coming in a few minutes. And you left your home. And your niyat was, your intention was that you would go out and borrow money from one of the businessmen of Najaf, so that you could at least buy some things to feed your guests. And on your way, do you remember, your foot hit something and you tripped over and you fell? He goes, yeah, I remember. And they said, and then what happened next? When you fell, you started to feel very miserable and very sorry for yourself. And you started to talk to yourself and you said to yourself, what is this? What kind of scholar is this? What kind of life is this? You know the way we do sometimes. What kind of scholarly life is this? What kind of thing is this? That I'm such a high scholar, so what? I can't even afford to feed my guests. Even that I have to come out and take a loan. And even taking a loan, I trip over and fall. He said, yes, I remember. And then the angel said, but the thing that we appreciated was this. After a few seconds, you came to your senses. And you said to yourself, what silly things am I saying? This is not right for me to say. These are the guests of Amirul Mu'mineen. It is my honor to feed them. And you apologized to Amirul Mu'mineen. You said, Mawla, these are your guests. And I will go and feed them and I will borrow money. And it's my honor to honor the guests of Amirul Mu'mineen. He said, yes, now it's coming back to me, I remember. They said, this is accepted in your deeds. This deed is accepted. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. They said, this deed is accepted. This one you had khulus. This one was so heartfelt. Azizane Girami. When we do things for Ahlul-bayt, do you know how much it forms us? When we do things for Ali Muhammad, do you know how much effect it has on us? When you want to see a change in your life, life is not going right, something is going wrong, you're hitting obstacles, you're hitting roadblocks, knots are not opening, do something for Ahlul-bayt. Do something in the name of Amirul Mu'mineen. Do something in the name of Janab Fatima. Do something for Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Give that sawab to them. Do something in the name of Bibi Ummul Baneen. Highly effective. Highly effective. How many people have told me, Ummul Baneen, her a'mal never goes wrong. Her wasta never goes wrong. Whichever person from Ahlul Bayt you feel connected with, do it in their name. You'll see the change in your life. So the du'as, let me go back to our subject. The du'as of a mustar are true du'as, and istirar should actually be there for each and everything in religion. They are all very, very important, and we cannot do without them. With a salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Khub. Now we come on to the crux, the very difficult question, which I want to address now. We are saying istirar is the game changer. We are saying istirar is the thing that opens the channel of grace of Allah. We are saying istirar helps us to get our du'as accepted higher. Then why do we see people in the world, definitely they are in istirar, definitely they are at the worst point of life, they are desperate, they are praying, they are beseeching. Why does it seem their du'as are not accepted? Who would say right now that the people in Gaza are not mustar? If anything, they are the epitome of istirar. Yes? Have we seen suffering like that? Have we seen that kind of treatment before? It's very, very disturbing. So they are definitely mustar, and others as well are mustar. They beseech Allah. Why, therefore, do we think or we feel sometimes that why is their plea not being answered by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? This is our question and our discussion. If you can support me with a loud salawat. Allahumma salli ala. There is a general answer to this question, and then there is a detailed answer. I will first start with a general answer. The general answer is this. Every mustar is answered. However, they are answered within the framework of the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They are all answered. Every mustar is answered, but within the framework. So it's not going to be like, I ask for something and I may be truly mustar, but it violates the rights of others. Allah cannot give it to me. Or I ask for something and truly it's to my detriment. A wise, compassionate, merciful Lord cannot give it to me. Otherwise He's not wise, compassionate and merciful. I pray for something, but that will violate the other person's free will. Allah will not do it. Why? Because free will is a part of human nature. He has to allow things to happen to a certain extent. Otherwise, there is no way that a mustar's du'as are not answered. Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq alayhi salam says, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Ma abraza abdun yadahu ilallah. No person raises their hands towards Allah with a dua except that Allah feels shy to return that hand back with nothing inside. To return the hands empty, Allah feels shy. Meaning that every dua, sincere dua, Mustar dua, heartfelt dua will be answered. And then Imam gives us a secret. Now, have you seen, for example, that when we recite du'as or something, generally our habit is to do what afterwards? To wipe it on our faces, right? Why? Where does that come from? This is the secret of Imam Jafar as-Sadiq. فَإِذَا دَعَا أَحَدُكُمْ, when any one of you therefore recites a dua, do not take back your hands until you have wiped your hands upon your head and your face. Why? Because Allah has touched those hands. Allah has put something in those hands. Your hands have touched the bounty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you continue and you spread that bounty upon yourself. Each and everything has a secret. Each and everything has a reason. So that's the general answer. That mustar is answered, but maybe not in the way he's expecting, and it has to be within the framework of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, the detailed answer. Mustar, people of Gaza, people in other places, why are they not being helped? Many people ask me this. Why are they not being helped? Okay. 5 possibilities. There are 5 scenarios of when you pray a dua, what will happen next. Scenario number 1 is very simple. You ask for something, Allah gives you that thing. You ask for A, you get A. Very simple, okay? That's scenario 1. Scenario 2. You ask for something, but you don't get it. What you get is something better than it. So you asked for A, Allah gave you A plus, or A star, or double A. He gave you even more. He gave you something better than it. Amirul Mu'mineen says to Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba alayhi salatu wassalam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Rubbama sa'alta shay'. At times you will ask for something, fala tu'tahu, you will not be given it. Wa utita khayran minhu, but you will be given something better than it. We have to be very wise on this, that sometimes we have to leave it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to say, you know your wisdom better. And sometimes you have to be careful what you wish for, yeah? Let me share with you a story from the time of the Holy Prophet. There was a man, Tha'laba. His name was Tha'laba Ansari, one of the people of Medina. He was a very poor person, financially poor, but a decent person. He comes to the Holy Prophet. He says, Ya Rasulullah, I want you to pray to Allah to increase my wealth. Rasulullah gives an answer full of wisdom. Khudaya, may I be sacrificed on the wisdom of Rasulullah. Rasulullah says, Tha'laba, my advice is, a little amount upon which you can be thankful is better than a large amount on which you cannot give thanks. Look at the wisdom of the Prophet. In one sentence, he's told us a whole library of information. Tha'laba says, okay. He kind of got the hint. He said, okay. He goes away. After some time, he comes back. He says, Prophet, I want you to pray for me to Allah, for Allah to increase my wealth. Prophet says again, he sends him away. He says, Tha'laba, the way you are is okay. It's all right the way you are. He goes, okay. He walks away. Again, after some time, he comes back. He says, Ya Rasulullah, I want you to pray to Allah to increase my wealth. The Prophet says, if you are insisting like this, then I will pray for you. Prophet prays. The prayers are answered. Tha'laba now begins to gain wealth. His business was in animals, in sheep. He buys a few sheep. Then he trades and he buys and he sells, and the sheep grow in number. Now all of a sudden, Tha'laba, who was a 5-time namazi with the Prophet, 5 times namaz with the Prophet, his business dealings, because he has to buy and sell and deliver and pick up and whatnot, all of that is going on. So now he's only making Zohr and Asr. He's only making Zohr and Asr. Time goes by and the wealth increases more. Business is doing well. So now he has to leave Medina and he has to buy a separate land outside Medina where he can graze his animals to pasture them. So now, forget Zohr and Asr, now he can only make it for Jummah. Once a week he can make it for Jummah namaz. The sheep grow and business is good and money is coming in and wealth is flowing. So now what happens is, forget Jummah, forget Zohr Asr, forget all of those other namazes, now he can't even make it to Medina anymore. Now what he does is he goes to the roadside and he just asks people who are coming and going from Medina, how is the Prophet? Is everything okay? Is he okay? How is his health? And he just takes the samachar, the news from people, that's it. Now he doesn't even go for namaz. The Prophet, after some time, asks someone, where is Tha'laba? We haven't seen Tha'laba for a while. Where is Tha'laba? And he's told, Tha'laba, his business is doing very well. He's got lots of sheep and he lives away. And what did the Prophet say? He said, woe be to Tha'laba. Woe be to Tha'laba, woe be to Tha'laba, 3 times. He uttered these words. Then Allah revealed to the Prophet that now it is time to take the zakat from the people. The Prophet, he appointed 2 people and he gave them a written order. He said, take this and show it to people and tell them that the Prophet of God is declaring to you that it's time to pay zakat. Go round, you're my zakat collectors, go round and get the zakat from the people. First, one of the first people they go to is Tha'laba. They say, Tha'laba, this is the order from the Prophet, you are to pay your zakat. Tha'laba says, oh no, I don't think so. I don't think this is really applying to me. Why don't you go around, get the rest of them and then come back, let me think about it. Okay. Then they go to the next person. He was a man from Bani Sulaim. They said to him, zakat. Now look at the difference between people, yeah? He went and chose the best of his camels. And he says, here are the best of my camels. They said, brother, we didn't ask you for the best of your camels. You can give any old camel. The zakat doesn't mean that you give the best. He says, no, for Allah and for the Prophet of Allah, I will give my best. They go around, they collect all the zakat, then they go back to Tha'laba. They said, have you thought about it now? You told us to come back later, now here we are, time to pay the zakat. He says, no, I don't think so. This is not for me. This doesn't apply to me. I don't even know what this is. And he started making all the excuses. So they said, okay. So they went back to the Prophet. The Prophet asked, was everything okay? They said, look, the man from Bani Sulaim gave the best of his camels. The Prophet prayed for him. Imagine receiving the du'as of Rasulullah. And then they said, but Tha'laba is an issue. The Prophet said, what happened with Tha'laba? And they said, he didn't want to give. He said, I'll think about it. He's wasting our time. The Prophet again repeated, woe be to Tha'laba. Then at that moment, the verses were revealed. Allah revealed the following. There are people amongst the people, there are some amongst the people who made a pledge with Allah. Azizan Girami, listen very carefully. Khuda na kare that we are in this category. Khuda na kare that we are in this category, okay? Among them are those who have made a pledge with Allah that if Allah gives us out of His grace, we will surely give the zakat and we will surely be among the righteous. But when He gave them out of His grace, they begrudged it and they turned away, being disregardful. So He caused what? Hypocrisy to enter their hearts. He caused hypocrisy to enter their hearts. Tha'laba's heart was now infected with hypocrisy. Would it not have been better for him to have heeded the advice of the Prophet who told him, the way you are is fine, Don't bother with growing your wealth and money. Do you see sometimes your du'as, you ask for things you don't know the real outcome. Allah knows the real outcome. Allah knows the real outcome. Anyway, when these verses were revealed, one of the relatives of Tha'laba, he was there. And he runs to Tha'laba. He says, do you know about you? These verses have been revealed. Tha'laba now panics. He goes to Medina, meets the Prophet. He says, Ya Rasulullah, I'm really sorry. Look, I need you to pay the zakat. Here, I've brought my zakat. Take it from me. Guess what happened? Rasulullah says, I will not accept your zakat. He wasn't allowed to accept. Allah told him, don't accept. Rasulullah says to him, you should have listened to me in the beginning. You've taken it too far. Hypocrisy has entered your heart. These are my words, by the way. This is my interpretation of the story. He says, you won't accept my zakat? He said, no, I won't accept it. He died in the state where his zakat was not accepted. You have to be so careful. The way we look at this world, the way we interpret the world, the way we think this is good for me or bad for me. Leave it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ulama would generally recite du'as like this. Khudaya, give me what is good for me. I don't know what's good for me. But you give me what is good for me because you know. So that is scenario number 2. Scenario number 3. With a salawat, please. Ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Scenario number 3 is this. And this is a beautiful one because this is one that we will never ever know about. This is one we will never know about. Sometimes you pray a dua, Allah will not give you anything, but He will repel away from you calamity and hardship. And this will never be known. How do you know what was meant to happen today, but it was taken away from you because of your duas? How do you know? We don't know. So sometimes Allah, on your dua, you're asking for A. He's not giving you A, but He's removing from you calamity and hardship. It could be someone asked, oh Allah, give me wealth. He wasn't given wealth, but whatever wealth he had was safeguarded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Oh Allah, give me health. Maybe that day it was meant to be an accident for him in his car. Allah removed that accident from him. So that is scenario number 3. Scenario number 4. Azizan, if nothing else, your du'as, if nothing else, will lead to the forgiveness of sins. Du'as lead to the forgiveness of sins, if nothing else. And number 5, 5th and final one. It could be that Allah does not give you in this world, but He reserves it for the hereafter. And the words of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam are that when a person sees in the hereafter the amount which Allah has reserved for him because of his du'as and he was not given in the world, he will say, if only none of my du'as were answered and it was all reserved for the hereafter. He will say, I wish I wasn't given anything in the world. Let it all be for the hereafter, because the hereafter is where you'll really need it. So, Mustar is answered, Mustar is given, Mustar will be granted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but within the framework of the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Tomorrow's discussion is going to be on the different types of istirar. For what should we have istirar? That is our discussion tomorrow with the salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah al-Hussein. Arbab azadaro. Once Imam Hussein alayhi salam knew that his life was no longer safe in Medina, he makes the decision to leave Medina. They say that in these days of Hussein preparing to leave Medina, he would frequently go to the graves of Rasulullah, his mother Janab Fatima, and his brother Imam Hassan. They say he would spend so much time at the grave of Rasulullah that he would sometimes even fall asleep there. In one dream at the grave of the Holy Prophet comes to Imam Hussein and says, Allah wishes to see you give your life for him. And then he says, and he wishes to see your daughters and my granddaughters and your sisters and my grandchildren taken as captive. When he went to Imam Hassan's grave, he would go with dignity. When he goes to Rasulullah's grave, he goes with dignity. But they say that when Hussein would go to the grave of Fatima, it was like a young child going into the arms of its mother. How he bid farewell to them, how he took their permission, how he took their blessings. And then the day comes when he is leaving now Medina. As he leaves Medina, a number of people come to speak to him. Some people tell him, don't go. Some people tell him, this is not advisable. Some people tell him, this is treacherous. The people of Kufa are treacherous. But there was one lady. She did not say a word to Imam Hussein. She just gave her blessings. That was Lady Ummul Baneen. Bibi Ummul Baneen, the mother of Hazrat Abbas, she comes. He looks at her, he says to her, you are like a mother to us. We have no complaints about you. We have nothing, no ill towards you. You raised us. You are like a mother to us. Bibi Ummul Baneen looks at Hazrat Abbas. You know what she says? She says, Abbas, today you are leaving Medina with Hussein. Do not return to Medina without Hussein. You are to accompany him at all times. And then the most momentous occasion, Zainab Kubra comes out of the house. She is joining the qafila of Imam Hussein. They say Hazrat Abbas, Janab Qasim, Hazrat Ali Akbar, all of the Hashimi youths made two lines for her that she could pass in between and no one would see her. As she is walking by, Hazrat Abbas makes an announcement. Lower your eyes. This is the daughter of Amirul Mu'mineen. She should not be looked at by anybody. Lower your eyes. This is Zainab. Zainab goes towards the carriage. Hazrat Abbas puts his knee down. Stand on my knee, my sister, and go up to the carriage. Hazrat Ali Akbar holds the reins of the animal. Janab Qasim moves the curtain aside. What shan or shaukat or izzat, what dignity and respect is Janab Zainab given. But on the day of 11th of Muharram, this is the same Zainab that when she is taken towards the camels and she is told, now get on the camel. Nadarat yaminan wa nadarat shimala. She looks left and she looks right and she cries out looking at Furat, Akhi Abul Fadl, where are you, my Abbas? You were the one to put me into the carriage on the day we left Medina. Where are you now, my brother? Imam Hussein's qafila leaves Medina. It arrives in Makkah. When it arrives in Makkah, the letters of the people of Kufa begin to flood in. Oh Hussein, come to us. We need you. We need you. You be our leader. We will be loyal to you. Thousands of letters are coming. Imam Hussein decides, I need to send someone to check it out before I go. He sends his beloved brother, cousin, friend, trusted one, Muslim ibn Aqil. Janab Muslim goes to Kufa. Janab Muslim is caught eventually. Janab Muslim now is being brought into the courtyard of Ibn Ziyad. Ibn Ziyad looks at him and says, Muslim, do you have any final requests? Muslim says, I have 3 requests. He says, what are they? He says, number 1, I owe someone some money. Sell my sword, sell my shield, take that money and pay that person. He said, what is the second request? He says, the second request is, bury me in a Muslim burial. Imagine, you have to tell people to bury you. You have to tell Muslims to bury you in the Muslim way. He says, yes, what is the third? He says, allow me to send a message to Sayyidi wa Mawlaya Aba Abdullah. Allow me to send a message to Hussein. He's coming here. I will tell him not to come. They said, Muslim, your first one is accepted. Your other two are not accepted. They took Muslim and Hani onto the roof. They did three things then. Number one, they beheaded Hazrat Muslim. Number two, they threw his body down onto the floor below. Number three, then they dragged the body through the streets. Number four, they crucified the body upside down. This is the treatment they gave to Hazrat Muslim. At that moment, two riders, they say, left Kufa because they were fearing the situation, and they headed to Makkah. On the route, they met Abu Abdullah. Imam Hussein says, where are you coming from? They said, we are coming from Kufa. Imam Hussein says, my brother is in Kufa. How is my brother Muslim? They said, Abu Abdullah, when we left, he had been beheaded and his body was being dragged through the streets. Imam Hussein looks at Janab Zainab. What does he say? He says, Zainab, bring me the daughter of Muslim. The daughter of Muslim is brought. Abu Abdullah takes this young daughter of Hazrat Muslim, puts her on his lap, begins to hug her, begins to stroke her hair. She looks at Abu Abdullah. She says, oh, my uncle Hussein, is my father okay? Has something happened to my father? He says, why do you ask this? She says, because I can see that the treatment you are giving me is the treatment you give to orphans. Yes, Azizan, this was the treatment of the orphan of Hazrat Muslim. But the treatment of Sakina on Sham-e Ghariba, she was also orphaned. Her father had been killed, but there was no one to hug or cuddle or stroke Sakina. Instead, it is narrated that Sakina was running from tent to tent. Her kurta, her clothing was on fire. They say that one of the enemies reached a little bit late to the tents. The looting had been done. He says, I only saw a young girl running from tent to tent. And I looked at her and I saw that she was wearing earrings. And I said to myself, these earrings will look good on my own daughter. So I went to her and I grabbed her earring and she looked at me and I pulled it from her ear and she shouted. And then she said to me, if you wanted my earrings, you could have just asked me. I would have given you them. And then she asked me a question. She said, tell me, where is the direction of Najaf? I said, what do you want with Najaf? She said, my grandfather Ali is buried there. I want to complain to my grandfather. What has happened to us on this night? Allah la'natullah al-qawmi al-zalimeen, Matam Hussein.